Hey YouTube people and family and friends watching, hello! I wanted to tell you all a little bit about our setup, what we use for our ducklings. You may have seen a previous video where we did have ducklings hatch out in the incubator a little over a week ago, and they are now out in a brooder out in the shop building. And I wanted to go show you the things we use for waterers, because we don't just use typical waterers like you do for little chicks, because the ducks make a mess. They make a big mess. They get water everywhere, and they will just drench all the bedding and the food and everything in their little brooder box. So we have a, I think, really neat way of being able to keep the ducklings watered and not make a mess at the same time. So I'm going to go show you what we do. Okay, in this video here, I want to show you the setup for our little ducklings. We've got them in this big wooden brooder that Sean has built to keep them in, and we attach a heat lamp to it. What I really want to show you is the waterer system. There in that little plastic tub there. I don't know if you can see from here, but there are 4 big circle holes that have been drilled into the side of that plastic tub. I'm hoping one of the ducklings will go up and actually stick their head in there, because the purpose of that is to put the ducklings' water inside that tub with the lid on top, so they're not swimming around in it, getting it dirty and getting themselves cold and wet, but they can still stick their little heads in like that one is. Good job, buddy. That was perfect timing. Stick their little heads in there, get them a good drink, dunk their beak in there, and still keep it clean. And they figure it out pretty quickly there. So we start off with that one with the smallest holes, and as the ducklings get bigger, we will graduate them up to a larger container with larger holes. And the tricky thing is to just make sure that the holes are not big enough to where the entire duckling can go into the tub there. We did actually last year lose a duckling because it got in the container and it did drown because it got stuck in there. So definitely make sure that the holes are big enough for their head to go through, but small enough that their entire body cannot fit through there. It's very important. So then we'll go ahead and show you the other container, and I think Andrew's going to show you some tools here too, how he does this. Okay, now Andrew's going to show us exactly how the duck waterer contraptions got built. So you've got your tools there, Andrew. For the let's start with the small one that we just showed everybody.
Okay, this is a hole saw. If for the smaller holes, this is the one. It's a 1 1/4 inches diameter. By the way, when I drill holes in the containers, I go backwards when I do so, because if you go forward, you could risk cracking the plastic, and then you have to fix it. So just try to go backwards the whole way, because then you're just more melting a hole in it than cutting a hole, because you're working with plastic. You don't want plastic cracks, you know. You don't want it to crack, because then it leaks. You don't want it to leak.
Very smart. And then this is the big container, or the bigger one. Whenever they get a little bit bigger,
when they get a little bigger, we use this container, and we use a 1 3/4 hole saw for these containers. Same thing, you go backwards. You don't want to break anything. The bigger the hole saw is, the bigger the duck head should be. You don't want to have a hole saw that's too small so the duck can get its head in it. By the time you see the ducks like trying to have trouble in their head and stuff, or they just doesn't look right.
Yeah, you have to watch upgrade. And you have to check on them to.
Once they're outgrown that one, then use a bucket. 4 big holes drilled inside with a 3-inch hole saw. And same thing, you go backwards. But you can go forward on plastic like this, but you can still use it backwards. This one's for like much bigger ducks.
Yeah.
Like just before you put them in the big run.
No, this is the one where we actually had the
Yes.
duck die last year because it was able to get in those holes and then it got stuck. So we are not going to make that same mistake again.
Yes. So we actually found if we put a big rock in there, like it keeps them from. If they get in there, they can prop themselves up on a big rock, so they can get out.
Or at least keep their head above
Yeah.
water, yeah.
And it keeps them from knocking it over. You know, if they bump it and stuff, if it's getting low. You also put a lid on top, so they just can't just fly right on in, and then you have messy water again. That's just about it.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Now, we did totally steal these ideas from Living Traditions Homestead. And if you're not watching their channel, you are missing out because they have awesome, awesome ideas. And we will unashamedly say we totally stole it and it works. So, all right. So Andrew's my handyman. I find the stuff on YouTube for him to do, and he makes it happen. Right? All right.